much. Thank you very much, really. But the first question, is that for a profit organization or for non-profit? If it's not for-profit, why do you charge me 80 pounds in the morning? I came here, you tell me 80 pounds? Excuse me, I didn't have my lunch yet because I don't have enough money to go back. So they charged me 80 pounds. You told me this is a non-profit organization and you given us this things as a gift. This is your destiny with us, with Egypt. You always help Egypt in everything, not just in education, in everything. And thank you for America. Thank you for British. I'm grateful to those people because these people really great. But why do you charge us 80 pounds now? This is one thing. The third thing here.
Hey,
excuse me.
No, thanks.
Too much? Thank you. I'm sorry for being angry.
Can I answer briefly? I mean, I think you listened very well to the question that I put about who's to blame, but I'm sorry to say you didn't listen very well to the answer. Because my answer was exactly the same point that you made, that firstly, we shouldn't talk about blame. Secondly, in terms of community, we should all take on our shoulders the fact that there are issues in the system and so on, and which is exactly what you were saying. So I think that's precisely what I was saying, is that we should treat it as a community thing, and we should consider that. Secondly, in terms of the £80, I mean, I'm a foreigner here, but I paid £22 for a sandwich at Subway today for my lunch.
I don't go
so the nourishment that I have got from this fantastic conference is worth much more than 4 sandwiches from Subway, in my humble opinion.
I'm very sorry that you are very bitter, and I hope that you have enjoyed yourself in spite of the 80 pounds. I hope that you realize that it does take a lot of money for the lighting. You know, Egypt has doubled the electricity bills. The university pays the electricity bills. There are things that cost. Life is not free. And if it was, it would be a different life. And it is a not-for-profit, believe it or not. You don't have to believe it, but it is. There is no money that goes to any stakeholders or investments in this university. So I do object very much to your point. If we had the money, we would run it for free, but we don't. We have all of these wonderful plenaries. Do you think jumping on a plane and coming is for free? Nothing is for free. So you have to understand why, and why are we doing this? Is it just to take the 80 pounds from Egyptians? Never. We are here to talk to each other. And I hope that you appreciate that the fact that it is, we are trying to send a message. I don't sit on my behind and just talk. I personally do. I go with Betsy and another colleague. We went in a car to Alexandria and we gave a workshop for free. So we do tons of stuff for free. So please don't. Given that so many of us do things. The last thing about apples and oranges, how dare you mix the language? You don't listen to what we're saying. There is no implication. I am Egyptian, I am proud to be Egyptian. وعيب عليك أن حضرتك تتحدى إن أنا أقول كلام كده. I don't accept and I don't appreciate.
May I ask a question?
Apples and oranges are very beneficial and tasty and delicious. And I love oranges.
I don't like apples.
Before asking the question for the apples and oranges, yesterday was my presentation with April Perkins. I'm Egyptian, she's American. We were presenting about re-examining non-native speaking teacher. So April was the one who pointed out that non-native speaker as teachers are even better, can be even better than natives. So we don't have this kind of competition. We're completing each other, we're not competing. So this is one point. The question is that I graduated only 20 years ago. I'm teaching in another university stuff. So I'm a kind of person who, I'm a kind of teacher who believes that learning is better through fun. And I adore Ms. Vanessa's way of teaching, but my question is that way of like playing games and delivering every piece of information in a fun way applies to every single thing you can teach? For example, I'm now teaching general English courses, so I can, and I do it. But probably I will be teaching soon something like English for Islamic purposes. So can I do it in a similar way when you teach business English, when you teach TOEFL, IELTS, and stuff like that? So my question is that how to make everything you teach that much adorable and appealing to others to learn.
Well, I don't know if I can do that. What I can tell you is that I think we've fallen into a few mistakes, and loads of us now live in a fast food society, which means use it and throw it away, and get results very, very quickly, and everything is fun. Well, reality check. Not everything is easy, and not everything is fun. I've now been teaching for almost 20 years, and I still have not discovered how to make the present perfect fun. Right? So some things only come through hard work. And you know Cristiano Ronaldo? Some people think he's the best player in the world. Well, this man gets up before everybody else, and he goes onto the track, and he trains for 2 hours before the others arrive. Now, how the hell is that fun? But he knows that to be the best, or to be even considered as possibly being the best, he needs to be better than all the rest, and that comes through practice. So what I would say is that there's no way you can make everything fun, because life is not always fun. Yes. But what we can do is include a fun moment, or a creative moment, or a critical thinking moment in every lesson. But that doesn't mean that my lesson is fun from minute 1 to minute 45. It just means that there is a fun activity. And in many cases, what I do with my students is, this is going to be hard work, and if we work hard together and we're able to do this together, then we will have 5 minutes of fun. Right, and if we're not, then we just have a good reason to try harder next time. But it can't all be fun. That would be my answer. I don't know if you would like to say something else.
I think we are seeing in online technologies, especially this trend toward gamification. I think in the larger context, what that's really about is making it relevant, making learning relevant to people, and then this idea of personalizing or individualizing, giving people multiple pathways to go through their learning. Not everybody needs to have fun the whole time they're learning. I think to assume that all learners need to have fun all the time is a gross misassumption. So among all of the people in this room, we all approach our learning in different ways. So I would say that the better you can understand your individual learners and create learning opportunities for them that make it relevant for them as individuals, that's probably more important than fun.
Yes, this is the second part of the question is that some people won't love fun. So shall we just go to the traditional way of teaching?
Balance, honey.
It's not one size. Make it human, not necessarily fun, but human. Something that relates to everyone.
Yes, so just relate the lesson to everyone in the class.
Personalizing.
Okay, yes. I know Fiona has been waiting very patiently to ask a quick question, sir, please.
Okay, it's just because it's something that happens a lot. I'm a trainer, and I train all over Egypt, and I teach my teachers to be trainers, and then train in a communicative way and make things interesting and fun and learner-centered. And a lot of the time they go back into the classroom and they do all these things, and they say, we had to stop because the parents came and complained. And I just wondered if there are any tips for the teachers here on how to include the parents into the community. How to win the parents. I mean, it's partly been answered, but just some practical ideas of how you could do this.
So when you're looking at the research and the literature, and even on an international scale, what you see is that you need some systematic support for that at all levels throughout the school. So the kind of school conferencing that Dr. Bax was describing, my guess is that that's a system within the school, and so that the administration, all of the stakeholders have bought into this idea that once a term, once a year, whatever the frequency may be, there is an opportunity for the teacher to sit down with the parents and the students together, and you have this kind of, there's a structure around that kind of conversation. The teacher didn't just sort of land on it on her own or in a vacuum. So that kind of support, that kind of system has to happen broadly across all of the stakeholders. Fiona, make sense?
Fiona, I would like to make a comment as an Egyptian that I know it goes maybe against your brain from the West, where democracy does not assume socioeconomic classes, but they're very clear here. So parents come from different socioeconomic levels, and I'm not trying to say low or high in terms of their, it is a fact that they're less fortunate and more fortunate. And therefore the discourse with or your conversation with the parents will have to vary. There is no one tip.
Okay, because it's not me, I'm not the one that has to deal with the parents. I never have to do that.
Right.
But I have to give, I have to train my teachers in such a way that they're going to go into the classroom and appeal and be communicative, learner-centered, and also avoid conflict with the parents. So how can they also educate the parents towards what they're doing? And I understand that obviously structured meetings with the parents can help. Is there anything else that you could do that's very easy and practical to win parents over to communicative and learner-centered teaching in their Egyptian structure?
Parents, of course, there are illiterate parents, and of course you'll find that these will be the ones who want their children to be literate because they are illiterate. And I think that's not the issue as much as parents will always support. Fiona, the key, the problem is, the key is that parents, it's a given, all levels will support. The problem is their background and how they perceive, they want the teachers to support their students. There are many ways that the parent can demand private lessons, in spite of the fact that in the language schools and higher level schools, and I hate to use the word class, but that's a fact, will have a policy of no private lessons. The parents will exert pressure on teachers, Fiona. That's one of the things that your teachers will have to deal with, the private lesson phenomenon. And I have a big problem with the way teachers have been demonized in my country, where doctors are allowed to open their private clinics. And they are also teachers at the university, but teachers somehow are awful because they give private lessons to supplement their income. But perhaps the way forward is, in that issue of private lessons, that you tell the teachers, be ethical, do not teach, give private lessons to your students in class. That's one of the ways of dealing with private lessons, Fiona, because that's one of the most heavy-duty interactions that us teachers face.
That's interesting, because in Italy, where I worked before, the teachers were allowed to give private lessons, but not to the students in their own school.
Yes.
So that was like a very clear cut.
It's not here. It's not here, but if you can tell your teachers so that they feel better about themselves and about the pressure they face from the parents, and they may create a community where the teachers are all together and say, okay, I have a student in my class, the mother comes to me or the father wants a private lesson, please you take and I will take yours. You know, that kind of thing. That's one of the solutions regarding private lessons. And I don't know if my other colleagues have others.
Okay, thank you.
Fiona, you framed the question in terms of training. So let me give you an indirect answer also in terms of training. I mean, for me, of course, I can't say to them how in Egypt they can persuade the parents because I have no familiarity with the setting, but I have in the past with groups of teachers in training taken a problem like this and given it back to them and said, okay, can you, all of you here, try and think of ways in which you could persuade the parents or interact with the parents. And very often I found when I do that, they come up with a solution themselves. They say, oh, I tried it like this. And the person who raised the objection says, oh, I hadn't really thought of that. In other words, allowing them with their experience among the supervisors that you have. And it may be that doing that you will allow them to come up with their own solutions, which therefore will seem more valid and probably fruitful than anything that can come from you. But I don't know if that will be a solution, but it might be one way of dealing with the issue in a training context.
Yeah, thank you, that's very useful.
Also, maybe if I assume the parents trust the British Council to start with, so they trust your teachers.
Some of them don't know what the British Council is. If you go to places, I don't know, way off, I'm talking about places like the souk.
I was hoping that maybe the teachers can talk to the parents at the beginning of the term, at the beginning of teaching, and tell them about the teaching philosophy, that it's not necessarily about Arabic, in case they don't have the English that's required for them.
Yeah, thank you, so the parents feel listened to. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we are way over time actually. This was supposed to end at